Have you ever met someone who didn't just change your life, but shifted something deep within your soul, without even trying? Someone whose presence felt like a memory you had forgotten, yet longed for your whole life? This isn't ordinary love. This isn't fleeting attraction, surface-level chemistry, or fairy tale fantasy. This is something much deeper. This is a divine bond, a connection so profound it bypasses logic and speaks directly to your soul. It doesn't always make sense. It doesn't always arrive at the right time. And yet, when it happens, you feel it in every cell of your being. You don't fall in love, you awaken into it. You begin to question everything you thought love was. You feel exposed, inspired, challenged, and deeply moved. And no matter how much time passes, no matter where life takes you, that person lives within you. Not as a memory, but as a transformation. If any part of you has ever felt this, if your soul has ever whispered, "This is not ordinary," then you're not alone, and you're not imagining it. Today, we're diving into the signs, the truth, and the purpose behind a love that defies the ordinary and touches the divine. When two souls meet in a way that transcends logic, time, and physical familiarity, there's a phenomenon often described as soul recognition. It's a sensation that doesn't rely on a timeline or shared history. It feels like you've always known this person. There's no awkward phase of getting to know each other, no fumbling through social rituals or pretense. Instead, there's an unspoken familiarity, like finding a long-lost part of yourself in someone else's presence. It's not about past experiences shared in this lifetime, but something far deeper, an ancient knowing, something rooted in the unseen realms of the soul. When you meet someone with whom you share this kind of connection, the interaction can feel surreal, almost like stepping into a dream where everything is suddenly vivid and meaningful. You don't have to explain who you are or why you are the way you are. They just seem to know. Your thoughts align, your silences are full, even your shadows seem understood. This recognition doesn't necessarily come wrapped in fireworks or cinematic romance. Sometimes it's quiet, like a subtle shift in the air. Other times it hits like lightning, sudden and undeniable. The moment your eyes meet, something shifts. It could be a glance across a crowded room or a handshake that lingers longer than it should. Whatever form it takes, it carries an undeniable gravity. You feel pulled toward this person, not because of attraction in the conventional sense, but because of something your conscious mind can't quite grasp. It's as though your soul remembers them before your brain has the chance to understand why. The emotional response to this recognition is often overwhelming. There's comfort in their presence, a sense of peace that defies the length of time you've known them. For some, this can manifest as déjà vu, the feeling that you've lived this moment with them before, spoken these words, or walked beside them in another lifetime. Others may experience dreams or intuitive flashes that make no logical sense yet feel profoundly real. This isn't simply romantic attraction, it's a remembrance that stirs the depths of your being. It brings with it not only warmth, but also an inexplicable urgency, a sense that something sacred is unfolding and you must pay attention. With soul recognition also comes vulnerability. You may find yourself sharing parts of your story you never intended to reveal. Walls that took years to build fall effortlessly in their presence. And what's even more remarkable is that they hold those pieces of you with reverence, not judgment. There's no need to impress, perform, or pretend. The masks drop. Authenticity becomes the default state, because with them, pretense feels pointless. The soul craves truth, and within this connection, truth flows naturally. You see each other not just as you are, but as you've always been, across lifetimes, across dimensions, across the veil of the forgotten. This recognition often challenges the ego. It disrupts comfort zones and forces you to question what you thought love was. Many times, people find themselves confused by the intensity of this connection. It doesn't always align with the expectations they've carried. This person may not fit into their life logically. They may appear at an inconvenient time, in an unexpected form. Yet their presence feels essential, like a missing puzzle piece snapping into place. You can't force it, you can't fake it, and you can't walk away from it without feeling like you're abandoning something sacred. Ultimately, soul recognition isn't about fantasy or romantic idealism, it's about awakening. It serves as a reminder that love isn't just an emotional experience, it's a spiritual encounter. It calls your attention back to the eternal, back to the part of you that knows, beyond doubt, that this meeting was destined, long before you ever took your first breath. Energetic mirroring is one of the most profound aspects of a divine connection. It's the way two souls reflect each other's internal worlds without trying, often unconsciously. When you're deeply bonded to someone on a soul level, they naturally become a mirror to your own emotions, wounds, dreams, insecurities, and strengths. It doesn't happen through effort or manipulation. It's simply a result of the energy that flows between you. Being near them, or even just thinking about them, can bring hidden aspects of yourself to the surface. These reflections aren't always pleasant or easy to process, but they are always necessary for your growth. Through this mirror, you're forced to confront the parts of yourself you may have ignored, denied, or buried. It's as if their presence activates something dormant inside you, urging you to look more closely, more honestly, at who you are becoming. This kind of reflection is different from what you might experience in ordinary relationships. It penetrates to the soul's level, showing you where you are healed and where you are wounded. For example, if you carry abandonment wounds, this connection might evoke feelings of deep longing, fear of loss, or emotional dependence. Not because the other person is trying to hurt you, but because their presence brings that pain to the surface so it can be seen. On the other hand, if you have hidden talents or spiritual gifts you've been afraid to embrace, they may somehow inspire or challenge you to finally express those gifts. Their energy activates your potential, often without words or intention. It's not about them fixing you or you fixing them. It's about each of you reflecting back the raw truth of who the other is and what still needs to evolve. One of the most common outcomes of energetic mirroring is emotional intensity. You might find yourself feeling things more deeply than ever before, not just toward them but within yourself. Emotions that were once suppressed may come rushing forward. Joy, grief, rage, passion, shame, awe. It can feel like an emotional roller coaster at times, not because the connection is unhealthy, but because it's unfiltered. The walls you've built around your heart begin to crack, not from pressure, but from illumination. You begin to see your shadows and light simultaneously, because this person's soul reflects it all back to you like a sacred mirror. That's why interactions in such bonds can be both healing and triggering. They serve your highest evolution, not your comfort. This mirroring can also show up in behaviors and timing. You may find that the emotional or spiritual breakthroughs you experience are mirrored in their life as well, even if you're physically apart. You might both go through similar lessons, losses, or transformations at the same time. It's as though your souls are dancing to the same rhythm, pulling each other forward in an unseen, divine synchronization. You sense when they're going through something. They feel it when you're off balance. This isn't about codependency, it's about resonance. Your energies are intertwined in a way that reflects the spiritual reality of your connection. In this sacred reflection, healing becomes inevitable. Not always gentle, but always powerful. You're offered a chance to heal ancestral patterns, karmic loops, and long-held trauma. Not just for yourself, but sometimes for both of you. But this only happens if you're willing to look honestly into that mirror. The divine bond isn't about being saved or saving someone else. It's about being awakened, cracked open, stripped down, and rebuilt from the soul up. Through this energetic exchange, you learn not just who they are, but who you truly are. And once you've seen yourself in their reflection, you can't go back to sleep. You're changed because they didn't show you who they wanted you to be, They showed you who you already are. A divine connection is not something that simply makes you feel good or provides fleeting comfort. It transforms you. At its core, it is a catalyst for deep inner change and soul evolution. When two souls meet in this kind of sacred bond, their energies combine to initiate a process that reaches far beyond romance or companionship. It becomes a spiritual assignment, a mission of growth, healing, and awakening. The person you connect with in this way doesn't just walk beside you, they activate something inside you. This could be your dormant spiritual gifts, your long-forgotten inner truth, or your higher purpose that's been waiting quietly in the background. Their presence alone can shift your vibration. Sometimes, without a word, they awaken a hunger in you for authenticity, purpose, and a return to your true path. They don't complete you, but they ignite you, often in ways that are unexpected and profound. This transformation is rarely smooth or easy. In fact, divine connections often appear during periods of change, chaos, or personal breakdown. It's almost as if your soul knew that to grow into the next level of your evolution, you needed this exact reflection. And so, the universe delivers someone who holds the precise energy required to bring those buried parts of you into the light. You may feel a mix of love, fear, longing, and confusion. That emotional intensity is not meant to confuse you, but to burn away what no longer serves you. Like fire purifies gold, this connection purifies the soul by forcing you to confront your illusions about love, about self-worth, about identity, and about your spiritual path. The transformation triggered by a divine bond is not limited to emotional healing. It often extends into every area of your life. You might suddenly feel the urge to change your job, pursue a dream, cut ties with toxic patterns, or start creating something new that feels aligned with your soul. This is not coincidence. The connection acts like a divine mirror and spiritual activator. It brings everything that was dormant into motion. You may begin to feel pulled toward your life's purpose more clearly than ever before. Old passions resurface, new ideas flow. Things that once felt impossible now feel necessary. You begin to remember who you were before the world taught you to forget. What makes this transformation so unique is that it is mutual. Both individuals in a divine connection undergo this process, though it may not be at the same time or in the same way. One person's awakening may trigger the other's collapse, which then leads to their rise. There is a sacred exchange of energy, often unseen, that fuels this transformation, and even if the connection becomes distant or challenged, the transformation it sparked does not stop. The growth continues, because once the soul has been touched by this kind of truth, it cannot unknow it. You carry the energy of that awakening within you forever. Sometimes the transformation requires distance. The intensity of the bond may become too much for one or both to bear, while still clinging to their old selves. In that space, lessons are learned, healing deepens, and identities begin to shift. You start becoming the person your soul came here to be, not through force, but through revelation. The connection revealed the truth, and now the transformation must unfold. Divine bonds strip you of illusions, awaken your purpose, and push you, often relentlessly, into your highest self. It is not a fantasy, it is a fire. It doesn't always give you what your ego wants, but it gives you what your soul needs. And that is the power of this kind of love. It doesn't just make you feel, it makes you evolve. In divine connections, communication often transcends words. While most relationships rely heavily on verbal expression to build understanding, a sacred bond functions on a much deeper, more intuitive level. There is a sense of knowing that passes between two souls without explanation. You might find yourself thinking of them moments before they call, or sensing their emotional state even when they're miles away. It's a kind of telepathic or energetic resonance that doesn't need logic to be real. These unspoken connections are not figments of the imagination, they are rooted in the subtle energies that exist beyond the physical senses. When two souls are connected on this level, their energies remain entangled no matter the distance or circumstances. You might wake up with a heavy heart and later learn they were going through something difficult. You may feel sudden peace wash over you and discover they were thinking about you with love at that exact moment. The intuitive bond often begins early in the connection. Before trust is fully established through shared experiences, there's already a sense of inner safety. You feel seen, understood, and emotionally held without having to try. Sometimes your words may falter, but they still understand. They read your silences. They pick up on your energetic shifts, the subtle changes in your tone, the quiet moments when you're battling something internally. You don't have to explain every feeling or justify every mood. The connection operates on frequencies where intention, emotion, and presence speak louder than conversation. When you try to speak from your mind, it may feel awkward, but when you speak from your soul, the other hears it clearly, even if not a single word is said. You may experience this bond in dreams, meditations, or during quiet moments of solitude. Their energy can appear so vividly that it feels like they are beside you. There are instances where the same thought, phrase, or idea comes to both of you independently and almost simultaneously. You may both be drawn to the same books, music, or spiritual symbols without discussing them. This isn't coincidence. It's a reflection of how closely your frequencies are aligned. Your intuition becomes a shared space. Even when apart, your inner world carries traces of them. They become part of your emotional and energetic landscape, not as an obsession, but as a resonance you cannot ignore. This intuitive understanding brings a level of emotional safety that is rare. It allows vulnerability without fear of judgment. You may say very little and still feel deeply heard. You may break down in front of them and know that they hold you not just with compassion, but with soul-level recognition. They are not frightened by your intensity, nor do they run from your shadows. They listen, even when you are silent. They feel, even when you try to hide. This creates a sacred space where healing can begin, simply because you feel fully accepted. This telepathic sensitivity can sometimes be overwhelming. You may feel a sudden shift in your own mood, only to discover it originated from them. This energetic empathy can be both beautiful and intense. It requires grounding and self-awareness so you can discern your emotions from theirs. But even in its intensity, it teaches you how interconnected souls can become. It softens the edges of separation and reminds you that love is not bound by physicality. The deeper this intuitive connection grows, the less you rely on external validation. You begin to trust your inner knowing. You trust the bond, even when the physical world presents challenges. You learn that real communication doesn't always come from the tongue. It comes from the heart, the soul, the unseen thread that ties two people together across time, space, and silence. It is in that quiet, sacred current that the truest form of understanding lives. In a divine connection, love becomes a spiritual experience rather than just an emotional attachment. It's not built on conditions, expectations, or possession. It's rooted in deep acceptance and reverence for the soul of the other person. When this kind of love enters your life, it doesn't demand to be earned or proven. It exists as a natural state of being. You don't love them because of what they do, how they look, or how well they fit into your life. You love them simply because your soul recognizes them. This love is not about wanting to own or control. It's about witnessing, supporting, and honoring the essence of who they truly are. Even in separation, even through pain, this love does not fade. It may evolve, shift forms, or move into silence, but it remains sacred and present in the core of your being. This kind of love teaches you about surrender, not the kind of surrender where you lose yourself, but the kind where you release control, let go of agendas, and allow the connection to unfold according to divine timing. You stop forcing outcomes or chasing clarity. You begin to trust the process, no matter how unclear it feels. It's a love that holds space, not just for who the other person is today, but for who they are becoming. You begin to see love as a tool for liberation rather than confinement. You want their growth as much as your own. You desire their freedom, even if it means they walk a path separate from yours. And in that release, love becomes pure. It stops being something you have and starts being something you are. This love will often challenge your definition of what love has been in the past. It confronts possessiveness, codependency, and ego-driven desire. It exposes the ways you've loved out of fear, need, or illusion. And in its place, it offers something expansive, cosmic, and deeply humbling. You no longer seek validation from them because their love awakens self-consciousness within you. You learn that you are whole, even when you miss them. You realize love doesn't always look like constant presence or verbal assurance. Sometimes it looks like silent prayers, energetic support, or simply choosing to keep your heart open, even when circumstances are uncertain. Divine love often comes with paradox. You may feel an intense pull toward them and yet understand the need for distance. You may feel their presence deeply in your soul and still not know when or how you'll see them again. But even in that, the love persists. It teaches you patience, inner stability, and trust in the unseen. It asks you to walk with faith instead of fear. It doesn't promise predictability, but it does promise growth. It brings you back to yourself, while also expanding your capacity to love another without condition. It shows you that real love doesn't chain, it sets free. This connection also activates a profound level of compassion. You start seeing their pain, not as weakness, but as sacred data. Their wounds are not reasons to pull away, but invitations to hold space. You become more gentle, more attuned, more forgiving, not just with them, but with yourself and others. This divine love creates ripples. It shifts how you show up in the world. You become more present, more intentional, more heart-centered. The love you feel for them radiates into everything you touch. It becomes a frequency that you carry, not just an emotion you feel. And when this love is mirrored back to you, even in the simplest of ways, it becomes a spiritual reunion. Two souls holding space for one another's becoming, not needing to fix, rescue, or complete each other, but simply to witness, to support, to love in the truest form. A divine bond, then, is not defined by labels or outcomes, but by the transformation it sparks and the purity it sustains. Divine connections are often marked by a sense of destiny that feels both exhilarating and deeply unsettling. From the moment you encounter this person, there's an underlying knowing that the meeting was not random. It feels orchestrated by something beyond your control, beyond your understanding. The timing might seem too perfect or too chaotic, but there is an undeniable sense that the connection was meant to happen, even if the circumstances don't align with logic or expectations. This isn't about fate in a fairy tale sense. It's a deeper soul recognition that says, you were always going to meet. The events that led you to each other often seem guided by synchronicity, unexpected turns, chance meetings, repeated signs, dreams, or intuitive nudges that all point in their direction. These signs don't just occur once or twice. They repeat with such precision and persistence that it becomes impossible to dismiss them as coincidence. The sense of divine orchestration can bring a strange kind of peace, but also a great deal of spiritual tension. You may find yourself torn between what makes sense and what your soul feels is true. This person might enter your life during a period of major upheaval, healing, or transformation. They may come just as everything you thought you knew about love and life begins to unravel, and instead of solving things, their presence intensifies it. That intensity is not meant to cause suffering, but to awaken. Divine timing has a way of shattering comfort zones so that the soul can evolve. You may not feel ready for the connection, but it arrives anyway, because on a higher level your soul was ready long before your mind caught up. This sense of destiny also comes with an internal pull that doesn't go away. Even if you try to forget them, walk away, or deny the connection, something inside you keeps bringing your awareness back to them. It's not obsession, it's resonance, a vibration that keeps echoing inside your heart because it speaks a truth you haven't fully understood yet. You may feel that you have some kind of spiritual contract with this person, a mission, a purpose, something to fulfill together or within yourselves because of each other. This can create a sense of urgency, especially if one or both are not in a place to fully embrace the connection. But that urgency is part of the soul's longing to awaken, not necessarily a call to force anything into place. Divine connections require patience, surrender, and trust in the greater unfolding. Timing plays a strange role in this kind of bond. Often divine connections come in waves, periods of closeness followed by distance. This is not to punish either of you, but to create space for growth. Each separation allows integration, healing, and deeper clarity. What feels like a delay is often divine preparation. The universe doesn't rush what's sacred. It allows each soul to evolve at its own pace, knowing that when the time is right, paths will cross again, or clarity will arrive, even if the outcome is different from what the heart hoped for. Trusting this process is one of the hardest parts of a divine bond, because it requires letting go of control, letting go of needing answers, and learning how to honor the connection without clinging to it. Even when the relationship doesn't follow a linear path, the impact of this connection remains etched into your soul. It doesn't fade like ordinary relationships. It continues to teach, to challenge, to awaken. You might feel their presence in your dreams, receive inner guidance through memories of them, or sense their energy in moments of silence. They remain part of your spiritual journey, whether or not they are physically present. That is the nature of something destined. It cannot be undone, only understood more deeply as time goes on. The divine timing behind such a bond isn't just about reunion or resolution. It's about becoming. It's about aligning with your highest self and trusting that every moment, every meeting, every pause, every return is part of something sacred unfolding. When you encounter a connection that transcends logic, time, and physical form, you are not simply meeting a person. You are encountering your own soul through another. This kind of divine bond is not ordinary love. It is sacred alignment, an awakening force that reveals your truest self. It mirrors your shadows and your light, dismantles illusions, ignites transformation, and calls you into deeper truth. It speaks in silence, feels without touch, and exists even across distance and time. Whether it arrives as a brief flame or a lifelong journey, it serves a purpose far greater than romance. It is meant to elevate, awaken, and align you with the divine within. And even if you part ways or never fully understand the why, you are never the same after meeting them. The soul remembers, the heart expands, and the journey continues, guided by love that is far greater than any human story. Thank you for giving space to such sacred reflections. May your heart stay open, your soul stay grounded, and your path unfold with grace. Trust the timing, honor the connection, and never forget the power of love that awakens you. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for listening with your soul.